Hi, I'm Marjorie Acosta, and today we're featuring a special called Tax Resolution. If you owe taxes, we have a guest on our show that will show you how to deal effectively and solve your tax issues. My special guest on this Tax Resolution special is James McClintock. James is a spokesperson for the company K&K Tax Group, and he has a website. Would you like to give that out?
Thank you, Marjorie. Yes, it's kktaxgroup.com.
Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you, Marjorie.
Now, James, first of all, I want to ask you, can I get in trouble for not filing my taxes?
Marjorie, if you are a person that willfully neglects to file a tax return, it is considered a misdemeanor. Yes, you can get into trouble.
Now, James, let me ask you, what are the common problems that people can face by not paying their taxes? When do they come to you?
Marjorie, typically our clients have many years of unfiled returns, typically 3 to 6. The majority of our clients are non-filers to begin with. Because they haven't filed in so long, they're scared.
So your clients have multiple years of unfiled tax returns, and they think they're in so deep that there's no hope for them. So why do they come to you?
Well, they usually come to us because they received a notice from the IRS, either a certified notice or a simple knock on the door.
And what does that notice say?
The notice says final notice intent to levy or seize all assets, wages, and bank accounts.
So they'll do that, even a bank account or a house you live in?
Absolutely, yes, Margie. The IRS does not need a court order to do anything. They can take anything you have now or in the future if you have tax problems.
Okay, let's discuss some of the common tax resolution programs, like Offer and Compromise. You hear about it a lot, but I'd like for you to explain to our viewers, what is Offer and Compromise?
Right, exactly, Margie. Offer and Compromise is the closest thing to amnesty the federal government offers. It's a formula-driven process where the government looks at your net present-day equity, your assets, your monthly disposable income, and decides if you can settle in full and pay.
But these people don't have the money to pay their tax debt in full, so what happens when the IRS wants to settle?
Well, they generally settle for as little as 11 to 15 cents on the dollar on an average, and that's why they can afford to pay if they fit the formula and they're qualified.
But what if you're unemployed but used to make a lot of money? Doesn't the IRS say, you know, we don't want to settle for 11 or 15 cents on the dollar, as we think sometime in the near future you might be making a lot of money?
Well, if you're unemployed, they will not process your offer. However, what they will do is ask you to sign a collateral agreement, which means that they'll settle on a low figure base now, but over the next 5 years they'll take a percentage of your income.
So describe a typical person that comes to you.
Margie, the typical person that comes to us is a good person. However, they're just faced with a life-altering situation, whether it be a loss of job, bankruptcy, custody, divorce.
Anything like that. Okay, so let's give out your toll-free number.
Right, our toll-free number is 877-395-0305. Again, it's 877-395-0305.
Now, when people call you, does it cost any money to come see you?
No, we will do a confidential consultation at no cost for you first, because we don't know what we're going to do for the client yet.
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to James about business taxes.
Don't let the IRS control your life. If you owe back taxes to the IRS or state tax agencies, call K&K Tax Group. We can help you negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount allowed by law if you qualify. Call K&K Tax Group and avoid wage garnishments, tax liens, and levies. The IRS has recently stepped up their efforts. Now more than ever, you need professional representation. Our former IRS agents and tax attorneys will fight for you. Call 877-395-0305 for a free face-to-face meeting.
Welcome back to Tax Resolution. We're here with James from K&K Tax Group, and he will explain to us how his company can help taxpayers solve their tax issues. Now, a lot of people watching this program are small business owners, so let's talk about the typical problems they face when filing for taxes.
Payroll taxes. For a small company, payroll taxes generally can be the kiss of death. And the reason is because if they're late 16 days of filing a federal tax deposit or filing, automatically they're going to be compounded with interest and penalties of the principal of up to 33%. What that means is before they know it, they're 2 or 3 times above the original principal they had to begin with.
I see. So is this a typical issue for small businesses that owe taxes? Also, can the IRS go after shareholders personally for unpaid payroll taxes?
Absolutely. If the IRS can go after the accountants, the bookkeepers, the shareholders, whoever willfully neglects to pay withholding taxes, the IRS can go after the shareholders, yes.
What would you say are some other issues business owners are facing when it comes to taxes?
Another recent issue is that many small business owners, Margie, are facing IRS audits due to investments in defined benefit pension plans that are now classified as abusive investments.
So what does the IRS mean by abusive investments?
By abusive, we mean any investments that are the sole purpose of tax evasion. These are classified as tax shelters. As a result, the IRS can assess significant penalties and taxes, Margie, if it concludes that the investment is such pension plans that was abusive in nature.
So how can you help these business owners that are now facing penalties due to their investment in tax shelters?
We can certainly help them by representing before the IRS and the tax court. However, each case is unique in its nature, and we develop a resolution strategy only after going through an investigation of their entire tax matter.
So you mean you can help these business owners? What would you say your success rate is?
Well, in fact, Marjorie, it's over 95%. And people can go to our website and see examples of our tax debt settlements.
So what about small businesses that are facing hard times? How can your company help such business owners that used to have profitable businesses but are underwater now?
Well, we can certainly help them with their tax planning. There is a provision in the tax code, Marjorie, through which we can take their current losses and carry them back to profitable years, or we can adjust the losses in the future profitable years, thereby reducing their tax liability.
So in a nutshell, you can do a lot for business owners.
Certainly. However, as I said earlier, every situation is unique in nature, and we would need to interview the taxpayer so we can develop a resolution strategy.
Okay, well, let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll talk with James about bankruptcy. Stay tuned.
Don't let the IRS control your life. If you owe back taxes to the IRS or state tax agencies, call K&K Tax Group. We can help you negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount allowed by law if you qualify. Call K&K Tax Group and avoid wage garnishments, tax liens, and levies. The IRS has recently stepped up their efforts. Now more than ever, you need professional representation. Our former IRS agents and tax attorneys will fight for you. Call 877-395-0305 for a free face-to-face meeting.
Welcome back to our tax resolution special. We're here with James from K&K Tax Group, and he'll explain to us how his company can help taxpayers resolve their tax issues. Okay, now let's discuss bankruptcy. A lot of people watching this show have this question. Are taxes dischargeable in bankruptcy?
Absolutely, but there are 3 rules. 3 years from the due date of the return. The return must be physically filed 2 years prior to the bankruptcy petition date, and you have to wait 240 days or 8 months from the last assessment date.
It seems like the qualification criteria is pretty strict, so it would mean that not everyone filing for bankruptcy would get a discharge on unpaid taxes. Am I right?
That's absolutely correct.
But what happens if I file for bankruptcy? My debt is discharged except for my tax debt, but I decide to do nothing about it. I tell the IRS, hey, I filed for bankruptcy and have no assets. I can't pay the delinquent taxes, so forget about it.
I hoped it would be that easy. In that case, the IRS would start enforced collections. In other words, whatever income you have, they'll start to garnish.
So it's always better to resolve unpaid tax debt with the IRS.
Yes, it is. As I said before, Marjorie, an offer and compromise settlement for unpaid tax debt is what bankruptcy is for unsecured credit card debt.
So how does your company help taxpayers that are about to file for bankruptcy?
Well, first, we will determine if they have unpaid tax debt and if they can include it in the bankruptcy petition. If so, the tax debt is discharged along with the other debts once the taxpayer gets a discharge. If the tax debt does not qualify to be included in the bankruptcy petition, we get such taxpayers offer and compromise settlements.
So you mean they'll get a discharge on their unsecured debt through bankruptcy and on their tax debt through an offer and compromise?
Yes. In that case, the bankruptcy court will discharge the unsecured debt and the IRS will discharge the tax debt.
Okay, another important issue our viewers want to discuss is tax liens. Can you explain what is a tax lien and how does it affect taxpayers?
Sure. A tax lien, Marjorie, is a public record which indicates the IRS has priority on the asset the taxpayer owns since the taxpayer has unpaid tax debt. Now, generally, it attaches real property owned by the taxpayer.
Now, I know a lot of people watching this show have unpaid state taxes. Does your company also help with state tax issues?
Yes, we do. In fact, many state tax agencies also have a similar program where a delinquent taxpayer can settle with them and get a fresh start.